It is not aesthetically pleasing. This is when you find out that my floor is actually dreadfully squeaky. Here's my vision. They did not fit there either. Thing that she would have worked out had she taken 5 minutes and done some maths. Thank you for coming on this poorly organised journey with me. Hello guys and welcome back to another video. This video is a little bit spontaneous and off the cuff. Not gonna lie, it is mildly led by ADHD and the hyper focus that I now have on this situation, but it is also the end product of a lot of thinking that I have been doing over the last few months. That sounds super ominous, right? Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not quitting. No. Instead of leaving booktube in my library, what I would instead like to do is slightly condense some of my library. And when I say condense, I mean the physical things in my library. I mean the physical space of my library. So right now I have literally just finished filming a book haul. That's where those books over there down on the floor came from. And I now have the task of obviously putting all of those books on my shelves. But one of the things that I mentioned in that book haul is that I recently had to replace some of my books because of a weird foxing issue that occurred. If you missed me chatting about that, essentially here is a picture of the 4 books that were affected by the situation. Now foxing is a completely normal thing that happens on older books in your collection, and as I said, it's a combination of the materials and the papers, how much sunlight they get, and this is a very bright room and a lot of my shelves get very direct sunlight. I do have contact film over the windows, which is the same thing that they put on shops to make sure that the UV doesn't damage the stock, but none of the stock in shops is sitting for quite as long as any of my books would sit in this sunlight. So there is some bleaching to some of the pages on my books, and that's totally fine. I accept that as part of just being a person owning a library. So if you are also a person with just a normal collection, just let that go. It's okay. Aging is part of everything, including our books. However, this particular foxing issue was only on 4 specific books, and these 4 specific books also had a kind of weird presentation of foxing. There was a lot of very distinct spots in very distinct areas. It was just, in short, a little bit hinky. And so in investigating this issue, I had to take all of the books off of my little bookshelf that's in the corner here. Hopefully Leanne of the future will have taken some nice overview shots that you're now looking at, but essentially this little bookcase over in the corner holds my literary fiction, historical fiction, classics, and at the bottom of it some middle grade books, you know, just like what's generally left in my collection. And I have been thinking for quite a while now about getting rid of this bookcase. It does sit next to a radiator and it does have a few problems caused by being next to a radiator. However, it has just never been a great bookcase since I got it. It does match the other bookcases, it's exactly the same brand, but it's always just been a little bit janky. And on top of that, my collection is now physically at the smallest it has ever been across the entire time that I have owned books, and I would kind of like to keep it that way. And whenever I say stuff like this or have this discussion, people always get like panicked by it, being like, oh no, she's gonna stop hauling books, and really it's not that at all. It's just that now I am so much more picky about the things that I keep in my library. This is not a huge room and it also has a slightly strange layout to it. So the actual pathway to come into my room and where my gallery wall is over here is actually a little bit claustrophobic, and I think it would be even less so if I was able to remove that bookcase from the equation. What I would really like to do is take all of my trinkets off of the shelves, like every single one of them, move all of the books, dust, and then re-decide where I'm going to put my trinkets in the background. Now the reason that this video is a little bit off of the cuff is because normally I wouldn't film me doing any kind of renovations or massive changes to my study, and that's because of the ADHD. I have issues with object permanence. For example, the last time we painted this room and all of the things had to come off of the shelves and be on the floor, I was super overwhelmed, and I was filming that process, and almost every third clip I was crying. But that was a few years ago, and I'm a little bit further on in my ADHD journey apart from anything else. I also have less books, less stuff in here than I ever have. I'm hoping that I'll be able to do all of that calmly or at least in a way that's amusing for you guys and like not terribly stressful for me. But yes, in short, enjoy my mess, let's try and make it better together. Before I get started pulling all of these apart and getting rid of this bookcase, I first want to show you a part of my library that you don't usually see. So this is the up portion of my library. This is the top of my bookshelves, which used to be covered in plants. Oh, say hi to the omnipresent bare light bulb. So this here is a box of plant supplies, and that could definitely live somewhere else. This here is my box of makeup. It's like all of my makeup, and it's very convenient to be in here because I obviously film in here and it's the best light in the house, so I put my makeup on in here. And up here is my paintbrushes, my knitting needles and my crochet hooks, and a massive lump of pink tourmaline. But they also clearly can go and live somewhere else. I have a special edition of Robin Hobb. This is the 20th anniversary edition, I think. More plants, more bird plushies, because I am who I am as a person. My entire Lemony Snicket collection is up here. This is when you find out that my floor is actually dreadfully squeaky. I just hide it really well in videos. And then again, another plant that needs desperate maintenance. This has grown on itself because it needs to be staked out. And we have my, what are these? My Flavia Deluce things and a few more plushies and stuff. So that stuff could reasonably all go somewhere else. And I do have more pretty bookends like these. So I reasonably could put more books up on top of my bookcases without it feeling massively oppressive. And I do think that that is where some of these books are going to have to go, or if not these exact book, some of the other books that are on my shelves could go up there as like nice sets to make more room for these books to move over. Alright, so we have deconstructed the bookcase and this is what is left. There was a book down the back, which I wasn't surprised about. It is another copy of Mrs. Dalloway. That's interesting, given that Mrs. Dalloway was one of the culprits of the foxing. I have found one other book that does have the foxing on it. Unfortunately, it is my copy of Literary Potato Peel Pie, and it's my hardback copy, and it's £23 to replace this hardback copy, and the paperback looks like pants. As you can see from the ends here, the foxing isn't just on the pages, it's actually on the hardback. Like, I've got other books that are foxed with age, like genuinely have spots from age, and those are, those don't look like this. There is the bird. Yeah, I summoned one. Hi Shmee. I summoned one. Look. Oh, there's dust everywhere. This is going to be great for Mummy's lungs. Shmee's name is Esme, for those of you who don't know. But nobody's pets ever get called by their real name, do they? We will have to just do a little hoover. Then I think what I'm going to do, just to be safe, is I am going to put these books in this gap here and let them sit there for a little while, just to be safe. I mean, it's not exactly like it's a controlled experiment. As long as none of them develop any other weird issues, I will then house them in amongst other books. This is the situation that we have. These are the books that came off of that bookcase. I am also at the stage where I do want to cry because all of the things are on the floor and everything is a huge mess, and that does like massively trigger me. Everything is hateful, but it'll be fine. Tomorrow is another day. Hi, hello. I have absolutely no idea if this is in focus. We are now several days down the track of this renovation. The books have sat in isolation for some time now, and I can confirm that nothing has happened. Like, not just nothing interesting, but nothing. Nothing has happened. There's no weird foxing. Everything seems to be fine. So today is the day. Today is the day where I just have to actually bite the bullet and start moving around books. I am not looking forward to it. My first plan of attack is to take all of these trinkets off the shelves. I've just checked. I don't have a secure box to put them in, so I have absolutely no idea where I'm going to put them. I think I'm going to have to try and clean off my haul trolley. But either way, they all have to come off, and then I need to clean these shelves. I could write my name on these shelves right now. But in addition to cleaning everything off, I want to clean it behind the books, because obviously the books are like sat forward on the shelf, so there is a gap behind them, and some of these books are going to end up double stacked. Now here's my vision. Planning on moving all of these books here, which are all of my Agatha Christie, Poirot and Marple, plus a few other like standalones, and I'm going to put them up the top here and potentially find other places for like my crochet hooks, knitting needles and stuff, although those are very Miss Marple coded, and that actually is a Marple and Poirot mug, so that might stay up there. But that, my friends, brings me to this side, which is a slightly bigger problem. Right now I have two potential options. The first is that I take all off right down to there my Terry Pratchett books and I put those up there, or I keep this as children's classics, because what's up here right now is just Lemony Snicket, and if I brought the children's classics in from the haul, then quite a lot of my literary fiction and classics could go into the haul, so that's also an option. This is the current state of affairs when it comes to my holly and the books that are on the floor behind it. Now I did go to IKEA at the weekend and I purchased myself two new large plants for in here. One of them is going to go on this side of my haul trolley, and that haul trolley is going to go into that corner kind of like on the huh. That's a good Suffolk phrase that I learned from Harry. That means like on the tilt, on an angle. And then I have a new big plant for here after McNabb utterly destroyed the ponytail Pam that was there before by knocking it down. I am going to have to find some way to weight the base, because he goes along the windowsill onto that shelf and just like swipes the plant in the process. So yeah, that's the plan. That's what we're dealing with. Let's get started. Okay, so we do have a setback. There is absolutely no way, even using the books themselves as bookends, that all of my Agatha Christie books are possibly going to be able to be stacked in this location. I have started cleaning off this side up here, and I think all of my Agatha Christie's are going to have to get lined up here. The good thing is these are very colourful books, and I do think that it will end up being like really aesthetically pleasing. Rules out putting any Terry Pratchett up there, so at least that collection stays intact. I might be able to make some of these books on the bottom disappear into the stacks, and that whole thing could end up being literary fiction. Wish me luck. So in a strange twist of fate, these are all of the literary fiction books that I have left. That's it. Do I like this arrangement? No. Is it gonna stay that way? I don't know. It is not aesthetically pleasing. My next thought is that I am going to work on the bottom of both of these shelves. Down here is all urban fantasy and some like stuff that doesn't fit anywhere, like TJ Klune. And over here, this is all fantasy, but as you can see, tons of this is fronted up. And so what I'm thinking is I could maybe move some of my urban fantasy onto the bottom of these shelves, and that would let me get all of my middle grades and also my children's classics onto the bottom of these, which would, if you're keeping score, mean that my whole library fits in here. For purposes of full disclosure, this is what we're left with. There's some children's classics in there, there's some Percy Jackson, there's some middle grade. So I'm gonna go get a snack and a cup of tea and then I'm gonna see what I can do. It was, however, at this point, gentle viewers, that she realised that what she could do was have another bad idea. She had decided that maybe there was a chance, albeit slim, that she could manage to integrate her children's classics and her classics in with the literary fiction collection. However, before she started this process, she did not what? She did not measure. Thusly, she was halfway through this process when she discovered that none of these books would fit. Not one to be discouraged, however, what she then decided to do was have a tantrum and banish all of the literary fiction that she had just arranged into the hallway onto the bottom of the pretty witchy shelves. They did not fit there either. The thing that she would have worked out had she taken 5 minutes and done some maths. Having discovered that this endeavour was also a fool's errand, she then dragged all of that literary fiction back into the library. And it was then that she had her last bright idea of the day, and that was to move all of her long-running mystery series up to the top. Because at least then, if she had achieved nothing else with her day, she had made one other aesthetically pleasing display. Woo! Witness her now, lying in her own mess, discouraged with her own ineptitude. Perhaps we are not quite as far along in the ADHD journey as we had earlier surmised. Okay, hear me out. New plan. Welcome to day whatever this is. Alright, so here's the situation. These books up here, Agatha Christie, these books were folly. Oh, they're perfect. I'm not moving them. They look wonderful. But they lulled us into a false sense of security. No, my friends, we got complacent. Here's how this is going to shake out. Do I like these literary fiction books here? No. Are they staying here? Yes. Regrettably, I have no better solution even after a day of crying about it. As you saw, we tried various things on the bottom of the pretty witchy shelves in the hall, which are, by the way, a travesty of dust. But my impending allergies aside, nothing looked good on that bottom shelf, and I don't have any other material to pull for it. That is all of my non-fiction witchy stuff. That is all of my Greek myth stuff. Instead, what we're going to be doing is something that I didn't necessarily want to do. We're going to be breaking up the special editions portions of these little shelves. All of these books down at the bottom here, which are like dark and gilded, those are all going outside in the hall because they all gonna look good together. Which leaves me a lot more wiggle room because I hate that this fantasy bookcase is broken up by urban fantasy and paranormal at the bottom. It does not sit right with me, my friend. So urban fantasy and paranormal, she's gonna be moving over. And then with whatever space we have left, we're gonna make the middle grade collection work. Ideally, not gonna lie, I would like my middle grade collection to be down here. I don't reach for middle grade books very often, and yeah, there are some special editions in down there, but blah blah blah. I am who I am as a person, and fickleness is in my nature. Will the plan work? No freaking idea. Are we gonna try it anyway? Yeah, thank you for coming on this poorly organised journey with me. Let's try and finish it with some dignity, shall we? In focus. I have no way of telling at this point. Here's the stage that we are at. All of the literary fiction books now live on these top 3 shelves. They will definitely not all fit there later. I have more in a haul, only a couple, but I have more in a haul, and I have like the Count of Monte Cristo, like I said, that I'm reading right now, that all need to fit into there. So that will need to be reshuffled. So that is a collection that is going to grow a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, and so it needs to have some room to do that. After a lot lot of trial and error. As you will have seen, I tried to make my special editions fit in amongst my normal editions and I just could not do it. Like, I could not make it work. So I have my special editions of some classics under here, including like Murder on the Orient Express and stuff. So they're all here, the nice foiled ones and whatnot, and I'm going to put the Mina Lima ones underneath it to carry on that like special edition look here. But they'll be very easy because, as you can see, this is like fronted up right now. I didn't necessarily want my special editions here because, like I say, this is the bit that gets the most sunlight, but from here down it should be okay in theory. I am left with this shelf, and all of the books on this shelf can be double stacked. So like, it's my paperbacks of the Diviners and stuff like that, old Samantha Shannon paperback, all of those can be double stacked in these, so that's not going to pose any problem. So I think we're going to manage to be able to get all of these onto these shelves. By the time that I get all of these books onto my shelves, we will be on the home straight. I'm on sprints right now with my patrons, and one of the things that I was also talking about was the fact that even though I know that my bingo board from hell this year is addressing my book buying, so I am reading a lot more of the books that are coming in this year, which means that I'm also cycling stuff out of my collection more often. My bingo board is also addressing like rainy day and backlist titles, so that there is going to be, and there is always, a big turnover in my shelves and has always been. But I am also realising that at the rate that I am buying things this year, I could run out of space on a few shelves and in a few sections pretty soon if I'm not careful. I won't regret getting rid of the little bookcase because, like I said, even if I regret it, that furniture piece was not a thing that was working for in here, and I can always get another one in the future. Nothing is stopping me. But I really want to try and make a concerted effort to fit my library into the bookshelves that I have. I don't want to add any more shelves to my house. Thank you in all of these updates for listening to my little brain as it works through some of these things out loud. This is what it's like. Living with ADHD, living with indecision and struggles with object permanence. It's really nice to have you guys along for the ride. So I hope by this point in the video that you are actually enjoying yourself and that you're not just screaming at me from the other side of the screen like, just put the things on the shelves, it doesn't matter. It does matter. Hello peeps, and welcome to the final day of this bookshelf reorganisation extravaganza. So it's a few days later again, and the last portion that you saw involved a lot of dithering, a lot of book shuffling, and a lot of trying to work out if honestly I needed to unhaul some more books. And I did. I unhauled a couple of books that I came across and I just didn't feel like there was a place for it on my shelves anymore. Here they are. So let me bring you up to speed to where we are at. Before this little sit down portion with you guys, I spent a lot of time today just playing with trinkets, because although I love stuffing things and stuff, like I am such a maximalist person at heart, the actual maintenance of so many small pieces of pretty things in my house is actually a lot. And I think I'm just at the point now where I want to start curating a little bit more, not being brutal with myself because stuffing things and stuff makes me happy, but just condensing a little bit, being a little bit more picky about what I have, and being a bit more conscious about cycling out my collection sometimes. Kind of like that thing with art where if you see the same piece of art every single day, you just stop seeing it and it just becomes an object and not something that you love. But as you can see, there are still things to achieve. So I still have 2 plants to get in here. I still have to finish cleaning off my holly and actually putting the books back on it. And if I'm honest, I have a few trinkets on here still that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with. This little reading bear is one of my favourite ornaments in the world, but he always gets neglected. And I also need to find some storage for some of the cat toys that I was keeping duplicates of at the bottom of my trolley, because who doesn't have doubles of their baby's favourite toys in case the dogs eat them? What is going on here? Do you know what? Screw it. I have been so disheveled throughout this entire video. Believe me when I say that when you film videos like this, you truly see yourself from all angles. Some of them I would just rather have never seen. Well, here we are, guys. We did it. It's finished. The bookshelf renovation is over. And I could not be happier with this room. The only thing that doesn't have anywhere to go right now is my vinyls, and I will work that out later. But literally everything else has a place. All of the boxes are out of here, all of the junk is out of here, and the most important thing is that all of my books fit. Like literally everything fits. There are in fact some gaps in a few places for my collection to grow into. Not that, as you saw, there were some books on my holly already or anything. In all honesty, a few days ago, I actually didn't believe that we were going to get here. I am learning so many new things about myself every time I repeat something that I've done in the past, from before I knew that I had ADHD, from before I started doing the work, and clearing things out of like my head and my life that just didn't serve me anymore. But for the most part, I was okay, and I don't think I've ever been okay doing this before. And it's funny because sometimes I think about people coming across this little corner of the internet, booktube, and looking at the stuff that we do and being like, I don't see why overhauling your library is that much of a problem. All you're doing is moving pretty books from bookshelf to bookshelf. But they don't know me and they don't know our struggles. They don't know how many times in the past like 5 years this room has just been filled with piles of things on the floor, on shelves, like ADHD piles of stuff where I'm like, I'll put that down and I'll do it later. And that's another thing that I'm really learning about my brain, is that ADHD doesn't have a later. It's right now or not now. And there is no like schedule for the not now. So for a few days during this process, my brain was like, yeah, not now. And I honestly wasn't sure when now would kick back in again, but actually giving myself the grace to just be like, that's okay. I don't know, I feel such a shift in myself this year. My like abilities and the way that I trust myself and my boundaries. What is the trending song right now? I think I like this little life. Who knew the end to this was going to be like deeply philosophical? It's like you and me hanging out here with the pile of books that I'm using as a tripod, unpicking things that we used to think of as character flaws and are now like, nah, do you know what? I'm kind of cool. This book reading journey do be taking our brains some places, right? Thank you guys so much for coming along on this journey with me, for the silent cheerleading that I know that you're going to be doing on the other side of the screen, and for making it possible with all of your support to take a little bit of extra time over videos like these, which need me to like work through my stuff. If you have got this far through the video, then leave me something red down in the comments below, because I feel like you can tell how cheery I am at any given moment by how much red or yellow is on my person. Like your girl's green, brown and black earthy tones for the most part, and then when everything's happy it's like the primary colours come out to play. If you have enjoyed this video and you would like more book organisation videos in the future, or you would like to see what is on my haul cart up close, then please hit that subscribe button. And if you are a returning subscriber who is sending me hugs and good vibes from the comments, thank you so much, I appreciate you. Please hit that like button on the way out because it really does help my channel, and I will speak to you guys really soon in a much calmer environment. Bye!